one final question here for you, sir. And I have an interesting team here. I want to see who you could think here. The best overall team just in the tournament, not necessarily on being like in the final. They don't have to be in the final or anything, but just where their expectations were, what finalized, what happened, how they played throughout the entire tournament, wins, losses, draws, what all happened. Who do you think the best overall team in this World Cup? Like I said, not necessarily on where they're at now, but just played the best throughout the entire tournament.
I think if I get this right, you're basing it off compared to their expectation.
Well, just a lot of everything. Where you thought they would be coming in, how they played, everything like that.
I think I'm going to base it on what compared to how I expected them to play, how who overachieved better than I thought they would. The two teams that I have to go with, number one, I think when you looked at Group D and you see one of the best teams that was the semifinals are for Uruguay, recent winner Italy, and a power England, everyone wrote Costa Rica off.
Mm-hmm.
And they came in, and not only did they win 2 of their 3 games and will draw 1, but they, for the most part, dominated possession against most of those teams, and they looked consistently like the most dangerous team in all of those games. So, I think they did, and they also held on and found a way to beat Greece, and they did a great job, and they could have won their next game. They could have beat Argentina as well.
Mm-hmm.
Another team that really stood out to me was Algeria. I thought Algeria was great. I didn't expect them to I know they were a decent team, but they looked really good. The Desert Foxes really did a lot better than I thought they would. I thought Russia would be a lot better than they were. They really, they probably have given Germany the best game. They probably played Germany the best. So they've created some chances against Germany. They took them all the way to extra time and created a decent amount of chances. So they've really, other than the Ghana game, they gave Germany a run for their money, and I think you have to be proud if you're an Algeria fan.
Yeah, I actually like your Algeria statement there because I kind of forgot about that. But yeah, the fact that they finished second in that group gave Germany a serious run for their money and just barely lost it 2-1 in stoppage time. That's a great pick there. I think another team you could come in with it is Colombia, just because they looked fantastic in all of their games, and they lost to the host Brazil 2-1 in a really physical battle. But the first team you mentioned there, I think that is the team that I had that team in mind. My brother and I were talking about this a couple of days ago. I think Costa Rica just in all played the best World Cup of their careers, and I think that out of all the teams in the World Cup, I think they played the best because you're right. That was a team no one thought was going to get out of the group. They beat Uruguay 3-1. They beat Italy 1-0, and then they drew with England 0-0. So they only allowed 1 goal, and it was off of a penalty. Then they go to the round of 16. They play Greece. They get the goal against Greece. They're up 1-0. Then they get kind of an arguable. It was a bad tackle, but it was a double yellow. The guy gets a double yellow to the red card. They play with 10 men, and it takes Greece into stoppage time before they're able to score from the field of play. So now it's 1-1. They played with 10 men for the last 20 minutes, Matt. And then they play an entire 30 minutes in stoppage time. They played nearly an hour down to 10 men and defended so well that Greece could not score. Then they won on penalties. And then the next game against the Dutch, they sent it to penalties as well. They didn't allow a single goal. It was 0-0, and they just lost it on penalties. But you could argue that game, when it gets to penalties, it's 50-50 shot, really. And to me, that just is really inspiring for Costa Rica, the fact that the game they got knocked out on, they didn't lose. They hold their heads up high. A 0-0 result against the Dutch. I mean, that's a fantastic performance right there. I think just throughout the entire tournament they have played so well. And Germany had their lapses. The 2-2 draw with Ghana, only beating the U.S. 1-0. The 2-1 sneaking by Algeria. You could argue the same with Argentina. Basically, if Messi didn't do some of the stuff he did, they wouldn't be in the same spots. Brazil, well, we just saw what happened against Germany, but also, the 0-0 result with Mexico, and then obviously the Dutch had a lot of hurdles to get through. That's your final four, and I think just Costa Rica in general, to me, a fantastic World Cup. I think that arguing just on the expectations, how they played their games, the results they got, I think Costa Rica deserve a round of applause. And I think that them, along with Algeria, like you mentioned, really stepped up in this tournament and have a very serious case about being the best team in this tournament.
JT, it's been an exciting tournament. I can't ask for much more. It's been a pleasure doing this podcast with you. Thank everyone that's listening to us. I hope this isn't the last podcast we do for soccer. Maybe we can do a little MLS or Premier League analysis of a game, and maybe we can get convinced Nick Claypool or Zachary McClure or Robert Martin to come on next time. But it's been an honor to do this with JT, and let's hope for a good final.
Sounds good, man. It's been a great pleasure doing with you, too. Great idea you had to put this together and have us talk about the greatest stage of sports on the world stage.
Absolutely. Have a good one, JT.
Thanks, you too.